If you are someone who still supports Israel right now, I just have 4 statements I have questions for you on. How do you support a government which Amnesty International has called an apartheid regime when their prime minister says this is a struggle between the children of light and the children of darkness, between humanity and the law of the jungle? So legit, he's basically just saying that children, Palestinian children, are animals from the jungle. That's not a surprise considering that there are no innocent civilians in Gaza. There are over 2 million individuals in Gaza. Over 1 million of them are children under the age of 18. They were not born or were very little children when Hamas was elected into power. They're calling Palestinians human animals, which is ripe language for genocide. Netanyahu himself told his cabinet anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. This is part of our strategy. I've had people tell me, then why don't the people of Gaza just leave? Why don't the people of Gaza just leave? The safe roads that Israel gave to Palestinians, they then bombed them. Wait, but then the next option is the Rafah border. And actually...
You're saying civilians can leave, but only through the Rafah border, correct?
At this point, yes.
So they can't go...
Whereas...
But then they bombed the Rafah border. Israel bombed it. So Mark Lamont Hill actually gives a solution.
At this point, yes.
So they can't go...
Whereas...
Your country! They can come into Israel!
Israel won't allow them into occupied Palestine. They will not allow them to cross through quote-unquote safe roads that they bomb. They will not allow them to leave the Rafah border. The only other option is the sea, which Israel controls. So it's very believable when Israel then bombs a Palestinian Christian hospital, and the majority of the victims are children and civilians. I think so many of you have told yourselves that this is in retaliation to Hamas. And if Hamas hadn't started it, then Israel wouldn't be doing this to Gaza. Of course, civilians should never be targeted, but this is not about Hamas.
Imagine a world without Hamas.
Right.
What will this word look like? Let's give this word a name, and let's name this word the West Bank. Hamas has absolutely no control in the West Bank, and since the beginning of this year, only through August, 37 Palestinian kids were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. Since the occupation of the West Bank, 7,000 Palestinians were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas.
75 years of genocide and displacement is missing in the context of all of these conversations in mass media. So you tell me, after over 1,000 children have been murdered, that number has gone up today because, and look at the rhetoric of the media that maybe you are actively consuming. Israel accused of blasting hospitals. Accused! And if you want to tell me that Israel didn't do it, then what about the Israeli spokesperson saying breaking Israeli Air Force struck a Hamas terrorist base inside a hospital in Gaza, a multiple number of terrorists are dead? Which terrorists? Are they talking about the little girl or the infant that are being held? The hundreds of children that were murdered? The doctors that are caring for these children? They are children whose limbs have been cut off. There's a video of a man holding his children's limbs in plastic bags. Hundreds of videos like this, and I've seen so many. They are available for you to see if you just take a minute to look.
This is a day in my life. We're at War Edition.
If Israelis can make videos on This Is a Day in My Life, War Edition, about trying to get gluten-free bread to soldiers, when I just saw a little boy's body, he was like crisp. I want you to ask yourself, when these are the statements being made by the actual leaders, how can you look yourself in the mirror and know that when people said in the past, how did we ever let that happen? Who didn't stop them? How could they even let that happen? That person right now is you.